John Lewis disambiguation. John Lewis 1940–2020 was the president of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and a member of U.S. House of Representatives from Georgia. John Lewis may also refer to John Lewis and Partners, a chain of department stores in the United Kingdom. Academics. John Lewis, philosopher, 1889–1976, British Unitarian minister and Marxist philosopher. John Wilson Lewis, 1930–2017, American political scientist. John T. Lewis, 1932–2004, Welsh mathematical physicist. John S. Lewis, born 1941, professor of planetary science at the University of Arizona's Lunar and Planetary Laboratory. John Lewis, headmaster, born 1942, New Zealand, former headmaster of Eton College. John David Lewis, 1955–2012, American political scientist, historian, and objectivist scholar. John Lewis, educator, born 1963, American computer science educator and author. Business. John Lewis Brewer, 1713–1792, British brewer. John Lewis department store founder, 1836–1928, draper and founder of the John Lewis department store. John Spedden Lewis, 1885–1963, industrial democracy pioneer, founder of the John Lewis Partnership. Entertainment. John Frederick Lewis, 1805–1876, Orientalist English painter. John Lewis, pianist, 1920–2001, American jazz pianist and composer with modern jazz quartet. Jonah Louis, born John Lewis, 1947, British singer and multi-instrumentalist. John Lewis, musician, British musician. Politics. Australia. John Lewis, Australian politician, 1844–1923, South Australian pastoralist and politician. Canada. John Lewis, Canadian politician, 1804, judge and politician in New Brunswick. John Bower Lewis, 1817–1874, politician in Ottawa. John Lewis, Canadian senator, 1858–1935, newspaper editor and senator. John Lewis, Newfoundland politician, 1867–1922, politician in Newfoundland. United Kingdom. John Lewis of Abernant, 1580, Welsh MP. John Lewis Radnor, MP, 1738–1797, Welsh MP for New Radnor. Harvey Lewis, politician, John Harvey Lewis, 1814–1888, Irish-born lawyer and Liberal MP. John Delaware Lewis, 1828–1884, English Liberal Party MP. J. H. Lewis John H. Lewis, 1908–1976, English landowner and councillor. John Lewis, British politician, 1912–1969, British Labour Party MP, 1945–1951. United States. John L. Lewis, politician, 1800–1886, Mayor of New Orleans. John Wood Lewis, S.R., 1801–1865, Confederate States of America Senator. John Lewis Shawnee, leader, F.L. 1829, Native American leader of the Shawnee in Lewistown, Ohio. John F. Lewis, 1818–1895, U.S. Senator from Virginia. John H. Lewis, 1830–1929, U.S. Representative from Illinois. John W. Lewis, 1841–1913, U.S. Representative from Kentucky. John W. Lewis, Jr., 1906–1977, Illinois Secretary of State. John P. Lewis, 1921–2010, Presidential Advisor. John Lewis, 1940–2020, member of U.S. House of Representatives from Georgia. John W. Lewis Roman III, born 1949, American politician in the state of Florida. John Lewis, California politician, born 1954. John Lewis, Arizona politician, born 1957. Religion. John Lewis, antiquarian, 1675–1747, English clergyman. John Lewis, Dean of Ossory, 1717–1783, Dean of Ossory in Ireland from 1755 to 1783. John Lewis, Archbishop of Ontario, 1825–1901, Anglican bishop, archbishop, and author in Canada. John Lewis, Archdeacon of Hereford, 1909–1984, Anglican priest. John Lewis, Bishop of North Queensland, 1926–2015, Australian Anglican bishop. John Lewis, Archdeacon of Cheltenham, born 1934, English Anglican priest. John Lewis, Archdeacon of North West Europe, 1939–1994, Archdeacon of North West Europe from 1982 to 1993. John Lewis, Dean of Llandaff, born 1947, Welsh Anglican priest. Sports. John Lewis, cricketer, 1867–1939, Australian cricketer. John Lewis, referee, 1855–1926, English football player, administrator, referee, and co-founder of Blackburn Rovers FC. John Galstone Lewis, 1859–1935, Welsh international rugby union player. John Lewis, footballer, born 1881–1954, Welsh international football player. John Henry Lewis, 1914–1974, boxer and former world light heavyweight champion. Buddy Lewis or John Kelly Lewis, 1916–2011, baseball player. John Lewis, weightlifter, born 1943, Canadian Olympic weightlifter. John Lewis, footballer, born 1949, Australian rules footballer for Hawthorn. John Lewis, footballer, born 1953, Australian rules footballer for Fitzroy. John Lewis, footballer, born 1954, English football player for Orient. John Lewis, footballer, born 1955, Welsh football player and manager. Other people. John Randolph Lewis, 1834–1900, American dentist, soldier, administrator, and postmaster. John Lewis, Nebraska activist, 1841. Hotel keeper, musician, and civil rights activist in Omaha, Nebraska. John Lewis, criminal, died 1910. American gangster from New York City, known as Spanish Louis. John L. Lewis, 1880–1969, labor leader. John Taylor Lewis, 1894–1983, United States Army officer. John Lewis, typographer, 1912–1996, British typographer and illustrator. John Lewis, journalist, born 1933, Australian journalist. John Percy Leon Lewis, 1943–2020, Guyanese military officer. Other uses. John Lewis Partnership, a United Kingdom employee-owned retailer. Ussin's John Lewis TAO 205, lead ship of a class of U.S. military tankers.